A strong earthquake jolts Hokkaido, leaving at least 7 dead and millions of households without electricity. A Hong Kong woman loses $180 million in an online swindle. And Trump lashes out at the New York Times after it published an anonymous opinion piece written by a White House official.
Good evening. At least 7 people have been killed, more than 300 injured and dozens are missing after a powerful earthquake rocked the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido. The death toll is expected to rise as rescuers search houses buried by landslides. Alan Buckner reports.
The magnitude 6.7 earthquake struck in the early morning hours, knocking out power to almost 3 million households. It's the first time the entire island lost power since 1951, as Hokkaido Electric conducted an emergency shutdown. About 12 hours later, power was restored to parts of the island. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said 25,000 self-defense force troops have been deployed to Hokkaido for rescue operations. The quake is the latest natural disaster in what's been a horrific summer in Japan. On Tuesday, the most powerful typhoon to hit the country in 25 years wrought deadly havoc in western Japan. The quake struck near Hokkaido's main airport, which is expected to be closed for at least today. More than 200 flights and 40,000 passengers are affected. Chitose Airport is the main gateway for the island, known more for its mountains, lakes, and abundant farmland. The airport closure comes as Kansai Airport in Osaka in western Japan is also closed after damage from Typhoon Jebi on Tuesday. One of the runways and part of the terminal building were flooded. The bridge connecting the airport to the mainland was also partially damaged. Authorities there say domestic flights will resume tomorrow. The 2 airport closures raise concerns about the impact on tourism and the economy. Alan Buckner, TVB News.
All flights between Hong Kong and Sapporo have been cancelled following this morning's earthquake. Some Hong Kong travellers stranded over there are desperate to find ways to come home, but that's no easy task. Miss Chu's family trip to Hokkaido took an unexpected turn when the quake hit. It left her hotel in Lake Toya out of electricity and water supplies. The family then went to Sapporo, where they were denied hotel accommodation for safety reasons. They may well end up at a shelter tonight, as nearby convenience stores are closed. Chu is not the only one trapped in Hokkaido. Currently, there are 370 Hong Kongers on package tours stranded on the Japanese island. With Osaka's Kansai Airport still out of service, some Hong Kongers took the train to Nagoya or Tokyo to fly back home. Local airlines have cancelled flights between Hong Kong and Sapporo, but some are allowing customers to change their routes to other Japanese airports for free.
On to other news now. A widow lost $180 million in the city's largest ever online romance scam. Over the past 4 years, the 66-year-old repeatedly wired money to a lover that she never met. Chrissy Lung has more details.
The scam came to light last month after the woman came forward to file a police report. She claimed to have wired a total of $180 million to a man she met on the internet. The pair started chatting online in May 2014, a year after she was widowed. Although they had never met in person, the scammer, posing as a British engineer based in Malaysia, repeatedly asked for financial help to save his ailing business. The woman, an executive of an estate agency, according to sources, wired money to the man more than 200 times over a 4-year period. She only became suspicious after speaking to her family last month. Investigators are treating the case as obtaining property by deception. Police recorded 272 cases of online romance scams in the first half of the year, more than double the figure from the same period last year. The Anti-Deception Coordination Center, which was set up by the police last year, has so far received more than 20,000 calls seeking assistance or making inquiries. Christy Lung, TVB News.
The United States may be about to slap more tariffs on China after a public comment period ends today. US President Donald Trump is threatening to tax an additional $200 billion worth of Chinese imports, equal to almost 40% of goods China sold to the US last year. The Trump administration has already imposed tariffs on $50 billion worth of Chinese products. Beijing retaliated with a similar tariff on goods that includes soybeans and beef, a direct shot at Trump supporters in the US Farm Belt. Meanwhile, talks to resolve the dispute continue, but Trump says he can't accept what China's proposing.
In the meantime, we're taking in billions of dollars of taxes coming in from China, and with the potential of billions and billions of dollars more taxes coming in. I don't like to see that China's markets have dropped by close to 25%, but that's what's happened over the last few months. Their markets have gone down. I don't like to see that, but I can tell you that the United States has picked up about $10 trillion in worth, and China would like to be in our position.
An unnamed senior official in the Trump administration has penned an opinion piece in the New York Times attacking the president. The writer says administration officials are working to frustrate the president to protect America from his worst inclinations. The story has already prompted one denial from an administration official, with US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo insisting it wasn't his work.
Donald Trump's administration has been dealt another major blow, only a day after juicy excerpts were released from a new book detailing the apparent turmoil in the White House. This time, the ramifications from an op-ed in the New York Times could be more serious than a book by veteran journalist Bob Woodward. According to the anonymous opinion piece in the Times, many officials in the Trump administration have been working to frustrate the agenda of the president for the sake of the United States.
And to know that even within his administration there's such a fear of his unstable conduct that people are removing documents from his desk for fear that he'll sign them. What a state of affairs this is. Whether you're a loyal Republican or not, this is unacceptable in a democracy.
I think the alarming part of the op-ed is that there's someone in the White House who is very afraid that our nation is being damaged on a daily basis. And I think we should take that very seriously.
Understandably, Trump was furious over the op-ed piece, accusing the anonymous author of cowardice and treachery, while slamming the Times for publishing it.
We have somebody in what I call the failing New York Times that's talking about he's part of the resistance within the Trump administration. This is what we have to deal with. And, you know, the dishonest media, because you people deal with it as well as I do.
Trump also fired off a tweet that whoever wrote it might be guilty of treason and that the paper should hand over the author to authorities.
Meanwhile, India and the United States signed an accord today on secure military communications between the two countries. The deal could open the way for sales of sensitive US military equipment to India. The pact was signed after US Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with their Indian counterparts. The talks are aimed at deepening political and security ties between the world's two largest democracies. Before arriving in India, Pompeo held talks in neighbouring Pakistan with officials of the new government, including Prime Minister Imran Khan.
Beijing expressed anger today after a British Royal Navy warship sailed close to islands claimed by China in the South China Sea. The HMS Albion 22,000-ton amphibious warship exercised what British officials termed freedom of navigation rights as it passed near the Paracel Islands late last month. The ship was on its way to Ho Chi Minh City, where it docked Monday. The Foreign Ministry termed it a provocation and said it had lodged a strong complaint. The encounter comes at a delicate time as Britain has been courting Beijing for a post-Brexit free trade deal.
A Philippine town mayor who was linked by the president to illegal drugs was fatally shot in his office yesterday. 4 gunmen barged into the Ronda Town Hall in Cebu province early yesterday morning and shot Mayor Mariano Blanco, who was sleeping in his office. Police say the men fled in a van. President Rodrigo Duterte had included Blanco in a list of officials allegedly linked to the illegal drug trade in the country. The mayor had denied any wrongdoing but had received death threats before he was killed. And still to come on the news tonight. The government granted leave to take the case over 2 teachers leaking exam questions to the top court. And what's the appropriate emergency number to call on the Express Rail link? Iraq's main seaport in Basra remains closed following violent clashes between protesters and security forces in the southern Iraqi city. The protest left 1 demonstrator dead and 25 more were injured the previous night. Unrest has erupted in southern Iraq, the heartland of the Shiite majority, in recent weeks as protesters expressed their rage over collapsing infrastructure, power cuts and corruption. Port employees said that all operations ceased this morning as the entrance to the port was still blocked off and trucks and staff were unable to get in or out of the port complex.
The High Court has granted the Department of Justice leave to challenge a 2016 acquittal of 4 primary school teachers who were accused of leaking exam questions on a popular messaging app. In 2014, 3 teachers from the CCC Hipwell Primary School allegedly took pictures of an entrance exam using their smartphones and sent it to a teacher from another school. Last month, their acquittal was upheld, but today's decision means it will go to the Court of Final Appeal. The Department of Justice has stressed the case is in the public interest, and today the High Court agreed it should be heard at the highest court.
A young man today admitted in court to luring 6 women into buying beauty treatments totaling some $230,000. The defence counsel noted he simply couldn't resist the temptation to make money fast. Sharon Tang reports.
Wong Kit-chung appeared in the Eastern Magistrates Court. The 25-year-old befriended 6 women through a social network without identifying himself as a beauty salon agent. The court learned that from May to September last year, he brought them to his friend's salon one by one to perform beauty treatments and persuaded them to purchase ticket packages. Wong would further coax them by saying he would lose face or they would never meet again if they refused. In the end, he was able to woo them into buying ticket packages worth $230,000 in total. One woman was said to be trapped inside a room until she agreed to spend $80,000. In a mention hearing today, Wong pleaded guilty to 6 counts of engaging in relation to a consumer in a commercial practice that is a misleading omission. Still, the defense counsel noted that he only gained $70,000 as commission. The case has been adjourned until December 6th. By then, Wong would have to compensate the 6 in full. Officers reportedly arrested him on a separate case as he left the magistracy today. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
With part of the high-speed railway's West Kowloon station now under mainland jurisdiction, what happens if there is an emergency on the Express Rail link? Should you be calling 999 or the mainland emergency number 112? Here's what you need to know. The West Kowloon station won't enter service until September 23rd, yet part of it is already under mainland control. Passengers are subject to mainland laws in the mainland port area spanning levels B2, B3, B4, certain connecting passageways and compartments of moving trains. If there's an emergency, should passengers call the mainland hotline 112 or stick to the local number 999. Well, either one is fine as emergency calls will be directed to the local police call centre. After all, mobile signals are provided by Hong Kong networks, so passengers are spared roaming charges should they call in the mainland zone. But some firefighters remain uncertain how rescue work will be carried out. Nip Yun Fung, who chairs the firefighters union, said he learned from a managerial meeting last week local rescuers cannot enter the mainland port area unless they have been cleared by mainland authorities. He said frontline staff are only concerned if there are clear enough guidelines to allow a smooth operation. If you do travel on the high-speed trains, take note of the mainland's social credit system. The collection of blacklists includes one which bans people from travelling on high-speed trains for half a year if they violated one of 7 rules, such as disrupting rail safety or smoking on the train. Mainland reports that the MTR Corporation confirmed that arrangement applies to the local section of the Guangzhou-Shenzhen-Hong Kong Express Rail link. Efforts are now underway to salvage a part of Hong Kong's history by rebuilding one of the oldest blocks at the former Central Police Station. One of the options is building with retrieved bricks to continue the same architectural style but painting them in a lighter colour. The former married inspector's quarters collapsed 2 years ago and is part of the compound authorities hope to revitalise. Members of the Antiquities Advisory Board haven't agreed on the balcony's design, but will unlikely put them to a public vote. Other parts of the former Central Police Station is now a centre for heritage and arts named Tai Kwun. When that's news.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.